Vice Chair Path,
Here.
Chair Beamsterfer.
Here. Commissioner Clark, can you do invocation and flag salutes, please?
I'll do the invocation first. Father, please be with us tonight as we make sound, good judgment for the city of Hemet. Thank you for this gathering, and please bless all of our politicians, local, state, and federal. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to God of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 4 is public comment period for items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public present that would like to comment on items not on the agenda?
Yes, Chair, I have received 2 requests to speak forms.
Okay.
First person is Judith McPherson.
Good evening. Thank you, Planning Commissioners, for giving up so much of your time and expertise to make our community better. What I want to place on the record is a chronology of what I believe to be pretty alarming, a very alarming pattern of behavior. On Tuesday, April the 2nd, I think I spoke here in response to your comments at a prior meeting that we needed more code enforcement officers or officials. And I said, at that time, maybe we needed certain ones, okay, because I had talked about some impropriety, okay. And I must have ruffled some feathers because that was Tuesday night, April the 2nd, and you will hear later what happened. Okay, just before that, just to give a good record of a chronology. On Wednesday, March the 6th, there was a letter issued by the city attorney, referenced or titled Notice of Referral to City Attorney, that referenced a consent order to a downtown property owner. And this letter was posted on 10 properties. And then just days later on Sunday, March the 10th, and there were red tags on March the 6th, posted on 2 of those properties at 118 North Harvard and at 102 East Florida. Just 4 days later, 1 red tag was already ripped, kind of crumpled. It looked like somebody took it off and then tried to put it back up haphazardly. By Wednesday, March the 13th, there was a new red tag. And this was at 118 North Harvard, the former Elite Bar and Grill. Okay, by Friday, March the 15th, I happened to be driving by on State Street and I noticed somebody outside the Gibble building, which is 102 East Florida, red tagged. And so I circled around and thought, what's going on there? Okay, it was Simon Chu's employee going in and out of the red tag building. I recorded it, I reported it to authorities, to the city manager and the building official. Okay, and then a couple weeks go by. I spoke here on that Tuesday night. Okay, the very next day, on Wednesday, April the 3rd, the day after I'd spoken, noticed that the 2 red tags, the original crumpled one and the new one installed at 118 North Harvard, were no longer there. There was a big, nice looking poster, the shops at Harvard, you know, those stylized posters, the shops at Harvard, the ones that Steve Covington designed back in the day with 2 P's and the word shops. Leasing now. So I thought, well, let's pull in. So this man over here, my son would happen to be with me and our dog George, said, go take a closer look. So he said, oh, there's something there. So he called someone at the city, and that person at the city said, well, look and see. He said, oh, there's a poster here. Is it over something? So he started to peel it away. It was placed over the red tag. So I think somebody's feathers were ruffled. So they thought, oh, it says not to remove. I just put this poster on top. Okay. So Matthew, at the direction of the city employee, took the poster off and placed it off to the side. There's the two red tags. Okay, some time goes by. I was driving by State Street again. I think I was actually on my way out of town to visit my very ill husband, who has since passed away. On State Street, I noticed the same employee outside the Gibble building on the front street side, State Street, pulled in. I recorded him going in and out again. Now, city officials had already told them, no, you don't go in and out of that building. This time I thought, well, maybe they didn't understand. So I called and insisted on a police report number, which I have. It's 240-519-0127, so that I had a record of it, that I had reported. Okay, and as a result of that, the very next day on May the 20th, Ron from the building department installed another red tag on that door of the Gibble building that faces to the west onto State Street. Okay, so that's just more time goes by. One day I'm driving by, because I drive around a lot. I go up to go to the bakery, go wherever. Saturday, June the 8th, same guy going in and out. Recorded, reported it. And there was a new red tag reposted that day. Okay, this person knows. And there are public and more veiled threats from an investigator that there are people harassing this property owner. When I'm out on a public street and I see this red tag building across the street from property we own at 101, 121, and 135 East Florida Avenue that has been without a roof for 10 years, I'm going to take note of it. And that is not harassment. After there's a red tag that says it's a felony, or not a felony, excuse me, maybe it's in my mind. It is a misdemeanor to remove or deface this red tag. And it's a misdemeanor to enter the building. Now, what's worse is I happened to see this same employee. I was driving north on Front Street, and he ran out. Oh, this is just last Saturday on August the 17th. He ran and grabbed this woman, and she jumped in the path in the way. I'm in a public parking lot driving through, Front Street. She jumped in front of my car. So I had to slow down, stop. She grabbed the window of my car. No, it was open at the time. I didn't think quickly enough to shut it. The same man, the one that I recorded, and she was screaming at me, "You stop harassing my brother." I had no idea that she was a sister. I don't even know what his name is. I just know he works for Mr. Simon Chu every day. And the man, the one that I allegedly harassed, going in and out of the red tag building, reached in the car and took my phone out of my hand. And then gave it to the woman. And they refused to give it back. And she had the audacity to call the police department on a 911 call that I was harassing them. HPD came out, and as a result of our encounter that day, I signed paperwork for a citation for PC 242, misdemeanor battery. You cannot grab somebody's hand and take their phone and reach into their car. I'm still more than upset. Now, today I went to the police department to get the police report, and they said that I'll have to come back in 10 days. It's a fairly simple one. They saw the video, he reached in, took it, and whatever. Okay, thank you. That pattern of behavior should be very disturbing to everyone.
Thank you very much, Judy. Public comments?
Yes, I also received a request to speak from Matt McPherson.
Real quick.
Good evening, Commission. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me here. Two items or two issues I'd like to address. Number one, I'm the real estate agent that represents the property, the piece of land next to the Hemet Theater. We've been going back and forth with the city trying to get it in escrow, but we had to do a phase 1 study, then a phase 2 study. The phase 2 study found some vapors, which have kind of presented a hurdle here. We're trying to figure out how to alleviate the costs. Who's going to pay for it? So I'm looking with the theater. I might even come up with some money myself to push the deal through. But mysteriously, I'd like to give you a history on the property. These owners bought it 20 years ago. They're three attorneys out of, the one brother's a international attorney in Dubai. So they understand law much better than I do. So they're kind of frustrated. It's taken so long. And, they spent over $450,000 back since it's burned down. The city previously said we wanted to put a single story structure there, nice restaurant, eatery. So they did soil compaction, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in soil compaction. Then after they did that, the city changed their mind and said, no, we'd like a multi-level structure there, which requires a separate type of soil compaction. So at that point, they just put their hands up and said, well, we're not going to throw good money after bad, and ended up just taking the payout from the insurance, but they've still been out $450,000. So they contracted me to try and get at least $350,000. As you know, the appraisal came in at 190. Thankfully, Andrew Kotyuk and did some brilliant financing and got some people to donate some land to offset the cost so we could get to the 350. But now the phase two discoveries presented another problem. We're looking at over $10,000 to do some more boring, which, I understand is necessary considering there was, I think, a dry cleaner there back in the 80s. So I understand. I've done this before. I've sold a lot of land. But what puzzles me, and the attorneys even brought it up because they've driven down there and looked at stuff. They said, what about that 3-story structure behind the theater? Didn't you guys document and take like hundreds of videos through that whole process and warn the city this is not permitted, this is not permitted? On the portal, it was a permit for an 850 square foot patio cover, and the property owner built a 4,000 square foot 3-story structure with bathrooms and all kinds of electrical. In addition, my mother and I documented him loading tons, I mean, maybe 100 truckloads of dirt that he removed from there. Then he drove it to South Inez and put it where SoCal Hay and Grain is. I don't know what it is now. There's all kinds of buses there. I should have gotten the address, but it's on South Inez. So I'm looking at that and I'm looking through the portal. No soil compaction was ever done. No phase one was ever done. No phase two was ever done. After my mother and I must have sent over 100 emails, trying to document, notify the city of this egregious, just looking the other way, and then we have well-documented bribery, well-documented fraud associated with this property owner. And selective enforcement has been another issue, which brings me to my next issue. We've had a metal container behind our property there at Shooters at 135 East Ford Avenue. It's 93 parking spaces. And I do the Christmas tree lighting. This year will be the 7th or 8th year I've done it. We do an Easter thing. We're going to be doing the Chalktober. We've teamed up with Trunk or Treat and Hemet PD. We'll be doing that October 26th. So I do what I can to help out the community as much as I criticize. I like to kind of balance it out with some positive. But recently we received a code violation that bin was in violation. It's against the Downtown Village Municipal Code. Then I was told, oh, you need an AUP to have one of those. And I said, oh, well, great. I spent $6,000, $7,000 to get an AUP for my downtown market. We could possibly do an amendment or a variance. I was told, no, you can't. So I was, okay. So I figured we're going to have to sell it or move it, but we keep all this stuff for the Christmas tree and all the holiday events in that bin because we don't know where else to put it. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of lights and ladders and all that. But I'm driving down South Harvard and I noticed at 146 South Harvard, there's a bin twice the size of our metal bin behind a property there. So I notified Nathan in planning and just said, hey, I don't want to, cause any problems, but look at that. Do they have an AUP or a permit? Because, we're being told we have to move ours. So I was here to request possible meeting with the city to request a variance for our AUP, anything, because out of 93 spaces, it takes up nothing at all. Whereas this other one at 146, it takes up maybe a third of their parking lot, and I don't want to cause problems for them, and be the bad guy that, I don't want to tattletale or anything, but I'm just taking note of kind of some selective enforcement. We had a code enforcement officer back the beginning of the year, I think it was, came out and told our food trucks at our market that they couldn't be parked there. Commercial food trucks on a commercial street in a downtown, something that every city encourages from here to New York. And so I asked that code enforcement officer, well, can you show me in the municipal code where it says we can't have a food truck at our AUP where we put a map, including the food trucks and everything that was approved by the city? And he kind of hummed and hawed. Well, then 3 weeks later, an officer from Hemet PD responded, a questionable officer who's no longer there now, and he couldn't cite the law either. So I came to the conclusion, so you guys just came out to shut us down, but didn't have a reason why. And since then, our food trucks don't return because he intimidated them and threatened them with, violations and fees. So, and I'm looking at, it's kind of a pattern of what lawyers tell me is selective enforcement, where we've been kind of singled out, and it's been kind of a Pyrrhic victory defending ourselves. We've been able to prove our point, but it's been at an extreme cost. But I don't want to take up too much time. I see the red lights blinking, but those are my two grievances today. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Any other public comments?
I don't have any further request to speak forms, and I did not receive any e-comments.
Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move on to agenda item 5A, which is the approval minutes of the meeting from August 6, 2024. Does the commission have any comments or questions?
No, I've reviewed the minutes. They look accurate to me.
I'll do a motion to accept the minutes, approval of the minutes for the Planning Commission meeting of August 6, 2024.
I'll second.
And that passes. I'm allowed to vote yes because I did watch the meeting and reviewed the paperwork. Okay. All right. Moving on to item 6A, proposed street names for track maps. Deputy Public Works, Jillian Ferris.
Correct. Good evening, Commissioners. This is just a short presentation on proposed and recommended street names for tracks 34661, 34661-1, and 34661-4. Their planning areas 7, 4, and 6 respectively. This is consistent with our strategic plan, organizational effectiveness. So tracks 34661, 34661-1, and 34661-4 are part of the McSweeney Farm specific plan, designated as planning area 7, 4, and 6 respectively. And the developer would like to request that the following street names be approved for these tracks. So this is track 34661, planning area 7. And this one does have a correction, which you guys received a memo. So street A is Barren River Place. Street B is being corrected to Truskowski Court. Street C is Herbert River Court. Street D is Burnett River Road. Street E is Swan River Lane, and Street F is Todd River Court. And this is tract 34661-1, which is planning area 4. And Street A is proposed to be White Pine Lane. Street B is a Eucalyptus Road. Street C is Red Spruce Way. Street D is Foxglove Street, and Street E is Oak Leaf Circle. And then for track 34661-4, which is planning area 6, Street A is Mistretta Drive. Street B is Becerra Way. Street C is Coyle Court. Street D is Cider Court, and Street E is Flanagan Street. And that is all my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer any.
Thank you for the presentation. Is there any questions or comments from the commission?
I have one question. Do you guys vet these to make sure there's no duplicates?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
They send it to us, and then we send it out to PD, building, everybody reviews them and then puts in. So this was actually their second round because their first round did have some duplicates.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment. A thank you to Jillian. Truskowski Court is being used after a gala bid by Carolyn Truskowski, who owns True Value, and she lost her husband, Rick, who she deeply loved. And so she's been waiting almost 2.5 years, but I so appreciate her listening to my email because you made that woman a very happy woman today. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's good.
I have a few comments.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for putting the list together and bringing it forward to us. My three favorite street names so far in the city of Hemet are Which Away, This Away, and That Away. Those are already taken. So
Yeah.
happy to not see this. I did actually go through and I took a look at all the names of the proposed streets because I do understand most of the naming conventions that are required, but also the postal restrictions on names. So I did find a few that, one that I found kind of questionable. That's under, these are all going to be under 34661-1. White Pine Lane, there is a street named Pine White Road in the city of Hemet. It is located east of Fisher, west of Costin, south of Mustang Way, and north of Salt Creek. I don't know if that would be enough of a difference. I think people who are dyslexic like me sometimes might find that to be a bit confusing. I looked up Red Spruce Way. I didn't see any real direct conflicts. There is a street called Blue Spruce Drive and Willow Walk. I don't think anyone will get those confused. If the signs were in color, maybe, but being written, probably not. Fox Glove Street, there is a Fox Moor, a Fox Trot, a Fox Lane, and a Fox Fire in Hemet. And then lastly, Oak Leaf Circle. Clearly, obviously, we have Oakland. There's an Oak Wood, which is north of Santa Fe, near the VFW building, and Oak Tree, which is near Harmony Elementary School. I don't know if any of those might possibly be confused with one another. I just thought I'd bring it up for discussion to see if anybody may have some additional concerns or recommendations.
I mean, those are good points. If they have a street that is like, I'm just making an example. If they had Main Avenue and we already had a main street, I let them know that that's just a little too confusing. These ones, I didn't feel that they were very much duplicative of the other ones, but if you have any suggestions or recommendations, we're, open.
The only one I really took that I thought might be not fitting all the criteria would be White Pine Lane. I think all the rest of them would be fine.
Any recommendations for a replacement street?
Emery Lane.
I think there is an Emery anyway. I know there's one in Beaumont.
Hap Avenue.
No, I'm good with not having a street named after me, at least not yet. I don't have any particular, other than maybe some other type of pine. I didn't see a yellow pine, for example. But there's hundreds of pines. Just not sure if that's the one.
It's funny because in college, the first house I moved into out of my parents was Pine White off of Costin. So when I saw a white pine, I'm like, man, that's almost like a little tongue twister. It was kind of funny to see that, but and also Commissioner Clark brought up a good answer, a good with the true value. That was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask, and I really don't have any questions. I think the streets are okay. I went through them all as well. And the only two that actually have Eucalyptus Road and Flanagan is in Winchester, but not in Hemet. So I think everything looks okay.
Maybe a recommendation is the previous street B from track 34661, Roper Creek Lane, could replace the White Pine Lane.
There you go.
I understand the foxglove and the plant
Mhm.
identifications, and I can see where the white pine, but if they do that Roper, that's great.
So in the discussion, are we agreeing to White Pine Lane, or are we changing it to another name?
I think the suggestion of Roper is probably good.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Any other questions for staff?
Like a motion to that effect? I would like to make a motion that for tract 34661-1, we replace the name White Pine Lane with Roper Creek Lane.
Second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that passes. Moving on to item 7A, city attorney reports, city attorney Leila Swarry.
Thank you. Nothing to report.
Okay, 7B, community development report, Director Monique.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to report that I attended the State of the District with sponsored by Supervisor Gutierrez. And also attended the WRCOG, Western Regional Council of Governments Directors Meeting last week. And some of the interesting things that came out of that meeting that I wanted to share that perhaps we can present to the commission at a later time was interesting is Senate Bill 4, known as the Affordable Housing on Faith Lands Act, also known as Yes in God's Backyard. And what it provides is the process to build affordable housing on land owned by faith-based institutions and nonprofit colleges. Some of the examples that they provided in the presentation were some already existing developments, such as St. Joseph's Episcopal Church development site in Winter Park, Santa Angelina in Placentia, and Vista de la Sierra in Riverside. So those are examples of affordable developments under this act. They also discussed the Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee Nexus study. So that is coming forward with an update based on changes to our socioeconomic conditions and growth patterns in the area. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you for that. And moving on to 7C, future agenda item reports. Director Monique.
Thank you. We do have the Freddy's restaurant is getting near to coming to the commission, as well as High Point Apartments. We do have the drive-through restaurant for the former Long John Silver's. We do have some other projects that didn't get onto this agenda that are going to be coming forward to the commission fairly soon, which involve some existing developments that were approved that involve some modifications and a future, potentially a future McDonald's in a location in the city. And that's all I have.
And 7D, Planning Commissioner report, Director Monique.
Commissioner Clark.
I went to Corey Jackson's community forum on a Saturday with Council Peterson and Lilienthal, sat right between them. Lots of things got discussed there. I'm sure Corey and I now are on a first name basis. Look at his face, because I had lots of questions for him. But something that my husband did bring up that I thought was pertinent to this, other than the disaster ready, which was given out quite a bit. The discussion about our affordable housing over on Menlo and HUD, he was unaware that we could not house as a primary Hemet citizens that are experiencing homelessness or challenges to that effect. And the comment was made, and the entire room was kind of like, yeah, how come if we're building it here, we can't help the ones that are here? And they were all just dumbfounded that somebody from a larger city like San Diego or LA could get on the list before a potential Hemet person that needed affordable housing. So he said he was going to look into it. I'm sure he's not going to be able to do anything because it's not local. It's kind of out of his hands too. But we did make a point, and there were a lot of heads shaking, including sitting next to me. That was just wrong on so many levels. So that's what I have to report.
This is the affordable housing one that I think when we asked that question, brought up that they're not gonna advertise.
Right.
And so they're gonna allow the locals to have their first chance at it before they advertise.
That's what his inference was, but he didn't say that specifically. His comment was he did not need to advertise because he had such a following. He had other affordable housing units everywhere in this area. So while that's all fine and dandy, there are a lot of people in Hemet that could use that and should be considered first, just by the mere fact that they have been here with us all along.
Yep.
So that's my soapbox.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Yes. Last meeting, I recommended that we have a joint session with the city council on this this warehouse issue. Has there been any movement on that? Were they aware of that recommendation?
You know, if that is something that that is requested, we would need to the city manager, we could, you know, refer that to the city manager's office to identify, you know, what the appropriate next step would be. If that would be, you know, if that's the next appropriate step to meet with the council, that would have to be a decision that would be through the city manager's office and council.
Okay.
Initiate that.
Are you,
So we can, yes, I have advised of the desire, then the comment that was made by the commissioner, yes.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Would it help if we anyone that thought it was necessary, would it help if we individually emailed the city manager?
I had a meeting with Linda Krupta on Friday, and I brought that up to her, and she said she was going to take that to the city manager and bring that up to him, that we should have a joint meeting about the trucking logistics and the pros and cons on it. So that was Friday. So she's going to follow up with me on that to let me know when that can happen.
Okay, great. Also, we heard today during the public comment period, Miss Judith McPherson about the code enforcement and Mr. Simon Chu. Do you know, has she brought this to city council's attention? Do you know? Because to me, that was more of a city council issue than planning commission.
No, I agree. This is new information that we're, you know, learning, as far as, you know, I'm aware. Yes, that it would be appropriate to, address this to the city council and city manager's office.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you would bring that forward too.
And also we would also receive, any requests, you know, for code enforcement or any kind of, any kind of concerns identified, you know, that can be facilitated through the city.
Yeah. And then, I guess her son, Mr. McPherson, talked about selected enforcement. Have you seen that pattern? Is that's really concerning if that's the way the city is dealing with our business owners.
I think specifically the concern was raised in regards to metal containers, metal containers that are on commercial properties in the city.
Yeah.
This in the downtown specific plan area is not a permitted use to have a commercial metal container. And it sounds like there may be some unpermitted structure or some unpermitted units. And so I will look into that. We are actually looking into that. That is something he's brought to planning department. So we're following up with him.
Okay.
On that.
I mean, I think they all understand if it's against code to do that, but the selected enforcement, I guess, is the issue. You know, why turn the head on one applicant and then enforce it on another one? That doesn't seem to be fair. I think that's it. I yield.
Vice Chair Pap.
Thank you. Yes, I have a few items. I was surprised that last meeting to hear that Will Ochoa had resigned. One, I would like to ask if it's proper to ask if you can inform us why he made that decision. And secondarily, what would be the process for moving forward to either advertise and or have someone appointed to fill that position? Or do we have any kind of time frame in mind?
Yes, I do not have a response on or in as to why Commissioner Ochoa withdrew. However, now that the vacancy is established, we have the city clerk's office has been made aware of it, has posted it, the position to be filled. And if I'm not mistaken, will be considered by the city council at the next city council meeting for appointment.
That, I just want to put on the record that I enjoyed very much working with Will. I got to know him better when we went to the commissioners conference in Long Beach. And I'm sorry to see you go.
Likewise.
And a couple of other quick things. I don't have a solution oriented comment to make here, but I'm growing very concerned about the violent crime that's going on in the valley. For years now, it's been progressively worse. When we get to the point where we have people shooting each other at point blank range right off of a bicycle, we've got a significant problem. I think we all might remember a little boy, I believe his name was Angel, who was pushed into moving traffic off of a skateboard. This is really escalating and getting ugly. I know the police are doing everything they can do, but I'd like to publicly cry out to PD, any of the gang task forces, anybody else who can come down and really hit these streets hard in our neighborhoods. We know where most of these people are living. I've known for years where most of these people, when they get paroled, exactly where they go. And those areas need to be policed more. And this is not a criticism of our police department. Please don't take it that way. I've worked for the city of Hemet. I love our police department. I very much appreciate everything they do and put their lives on the line every day to protect us. But please, we have to do something more than we're doing now. I'm not sure what that is. I'm happy in any way to contribute and help, offer suggestions, participate on task forces, anything and everything to make a dent in what's going on here. With respect to projects that are being received by community development and maybe other divisions as well, I'd like to ask if we can get notifications, not necessarily just for planning commission agenda items. I mean, we can all go online and find the agendas for other meetings, but I'd like to be placed on an email list to receive agendas for the development review committee meetings, the community development director review meetings, and also to receive notifications of any notice of preparation for any environmental impact reports or notice of completion, anything along those lines, so that I can start taking a look at some of these projects prior to them actually coming to hearing. I think we have some big ones coming up, and anything that I can do to educate myself better on these projects, I would like the opportunity to do that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Chair Beamsterfer?
Went to the August Nights in San Jacinto for country music night last week, which was a great turnout. I believe they have it's every Wednesday, right? Until the end of the month. And then the city of Hemet has one coming up in the park, a movie. I can't remember what night it is, but that's coming up this month, is it?
Parking?
Yes.
Yes, I can confirm the date.
Okay.
Yes.
And then also I met up with Councilwoman Krupta, and we had a lot to talk about. And one of them was a joint meeting with the council about this trucking logistics. We also talked about one thing that kind of concerned me is the project on Kirby. I don't recall seeing it in the report when we reviewed it, but where the warehouse is going, that old historical tree that was there that had a lot of history to it, and that tree was just torn down. And I don't recall that tree being a part of the agenda when it came to the table. And I could be wrong, but it just something that it kind of bothered me because I would have brought up that tree in a way and to just keep it there and build around it. And then another thing is somebody posted on Facebook about that warehouse on Kirby about laying concrete and doing it in around like early mornings or during the night. And that's something that was not approved during the project. There was supposed to be certain time hours that they do construction, and they're doing concrete pours outside of those hours. So I'm not sure how that became. What else can I talk? What else was there? There was so much in my mind and I just ran all out of it. So with that, nothing else to report.
Can I say something about that tree? Because when he brought that up, I looked him in the eye and I asked him, can you save that tree? And he said, sadly, no.
Okay.
I knew that tree was on the block, and that's why I said that. It had a lot of history.
And I just don't, for some reason, it just got overlooked.
It really
Forced-
pained me to see it go. I'm a 4th generation here, and I know that took a long time to grow, and he wasn't willing, so.
Oh, and one other thing to report too, they did bring up to Councilwoman Krupta because I brought up to the city manager a couple of times and it just never got addressed. Our city emails, again, we are in a gray area of a Brown Act when we start using private emails or created emails that are not city related. And we need to address that and get city emails for all of us. I mean, Commissioner Hill and I have ours, but but 2 of them don't. And whoever the new appointed commissioner will be won't as well. And that's something for legal, but I understand that it's a very gray area by not having city emails addressed to the commission. And I just want to make sure I bring that up again. So with that, nothing else to report. If there's no further business.
Yes, Chair, I just wanted to follow up with you. The Movies in the Park is going to be Friday, August 30th, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the movie is going to be Paw Patrol.
August 3? You mean September 3?
August 30th.
Friday, August 30th.
Oh, August 30th. I thought you said 3. Sorry.
If there is no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned to the next planning commission meeting scheduled for September the 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m.